So let's talk about, what does retro game collecting actually cost? Because retro gaming has a high price tag, and anyone trying to buy an older system will quickly find that some of the best games are more than the original MSRP. But there's something else to talk about besides just the cost of the retro games and the consoles themselves that we don't really talk about. Just like anything you collect, there is an initial cost to get into that hobby or field. That could be buying the gaming console to play the games you want. It could be an art easel to work on, a microphone to record, like I am with this video. That's all a part of the entry cost to your field. We need to talk more about the costs that follow, because just like any hobby, there's a minimum upkeep with gaming as well. After you buy your first console and game, what's next? You probably want another game. No big deal. Hit up your local game store. You get a few months down the road and you have 15 games all of a sudden. You need somewhere to put those, right? So you buy a shelf. Maybe your setup's complete, right? Multiple games, a nice shelf. But it kind of spirals from there. You get a second console, you get more games. You need another shelf. Maybe you need a CRT for a light gun game. And so you invest in a whole second setup. Now you need more space and you rearrange your game room or your whole house. Eventually you outgrow that place, so you put your games into storage so you can get a bigger place. You get the bigger place with space for more room to grow. Then it's more bills, more square footage to take care of, and it's kind of this big cycle. And if you followed me this far, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff to think about. It's probably a super cool collection, and it's got multiple systems, tons of options, and it's probably one of those crazy cool things you see on TikTok or YouTube. But with all those options, there's a lot of upkeep to go with it. There's many shelves to dust. There's a bigger area to vacuum. There's more money to pay for that extra space. There's the little things like protective plastic cases or extra controllers, an extra TV stand. The list goes on. And then there's the mental upkeep as well. I lost track of how many games I have between physical and digital. I could spend hours putting all those games into Game Eye, which is the iPhone or Android app. If you've never seen it, it's pretty great, but I'd still miss some. And the backlog that every gamer has, there's just too many. Epic Game Store gives away free games every week, and I can't even keep track of that. And whether you realize or not, it takes a mental toll. And that's where digital gaming can shine. It kind of takes away from that upkeep. You don't need to store it on a shelf. You don't have to maintain multiple consoles if you play just PC. But it can severely add to that mental upkeep, remembering how big your backlog is. You just have 100 digital games sitting there waiting, or do you have 1,000? Many of people have just tons and tons of games waiting in their queue on Steam. Anyone who's bought a Humble Bundle knows what I'm talking about. It's really easy to buy 10 games for $10 and not remember what you got. And that's where physical takes over, and it's easier to see your whole collection in front of you. You see the spines, you can read them, you see every system you got, assuming you have the space. If you don't have the space, all of a sudden the cycle just keeps going. So I wanted to throw that challenge out there. Check yourself to see how much upkeep your gaming collection actually costs. Not just monetarily, money-wise, but how much space does it take up? And how much mental space does it take up? How much do you have to keep track of? Do you need to find ways to slow down or cut back on your collection? Because personally, I just got rid of probably close to 50 games and a couple consoles that I've been holding on to, like a couple large tubs of stuff, and it still didn't really put a dent in my large physical collection, honestly. And just because somebody else has thousands of games, or this amazing game room setup, this huge square footage, doesn't mean you need that. As long as you're enjoying what you're playing, as long as you're having fun and you actually get to play the games instead of just hoarding them and letting them sit on a shelf, that's really what you should be doing, right? I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and check your upkeep, and we'll catch you next time.